I mean, this is Brett. How you doing?
Brat?
Yeah.
Is that BRAT?
No, Brett.
Okay, BRETT. Brat. How can I help?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a question. I make about 100,000 doing sales in produce,
Nice.
and I invest about $1,000 a month in a brokerage, 500 in a Roth IRA, and 1625 a month a Roth 401k. But I live in
1625, you said?
California. Yeah, I put the full 19,500 a year,
Nice.
and but I live in California, and I do a Roth 401k, but the expense ratios in my Roth 401k are like almost 2%. Should I just not do a Roth 401k and just put it in a brokerage and low cost index like I'm already?
This is an amazing question, so thank you for welcoming me to it. So overall, you are investing 19,500 plus 6,000 plus $12,000, around $37,500, which is that's funny. It's the same amount of money I was investing into my retirement accounts. That's awesome. Okay, so the big
The
question is,
big
right? By the way, you wanna take me off the live, so cancel me there,
Yeah,
so we
sorry.
don't have an audio loop. Okay,
Okay,
so
let me
which
just. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hello.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's fine. So what you want to do is, instead of canceling, you want to talk to your employer and find out
Yeah.
exactly what funds have you invested into, because that's very
Well,
important. Because
I'm in the lowest cost funds I could be in at my employer.
really,
Yeah. I mean, that's why. I mean, I'm what, and I like my job, so it's not like I don't ever plan on leaving, so I could just
hmm
roll it into a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. But I don't necessarily want to be stuck paying 2% for 30 years.
what does the math say? How much is it going to end up costing you, and how much is it going to end
I,
up saving you?
I'm not exactly sure, to be
So
honest.
that sounds like some numbers you got to run, because
Yeah.
although because they're probably, it's not the funds. What are they investing you into exactly?
Well, I'm with American Funds, so I'm in the Growth Fund of America, Small Cap World, the Investment Company of America, and I think New Perspective Fund.
But you do sales, right? So don't you get paid at 1099, or you're a W two employee?
Wait, what did you say? Sorry.
Are you a W two employee, or you get paid on 1099?
I am a W-2 employee.
Okay, so a few options, right? You can talk to them, see if they can actually help you with some other funds that are actually less expensive. For example, some Vanguard ones. Just like have a conversation with them. Second option is you could potentially negotiate to just be, for example, a contractor, maybe.
Yeah.
So if you do become a
Okay.
contractor, you can get, for example, a self-directed IRA or 401k, and then you're able to just pick and choose your own investments. And then that way, because I'm not paying past like 0.05% of my funds, right? 2% is a lot of money. Like it's gonna
Yeah,
cost
I
you like at
know.
least a third of your whole gains. For perspective, guys, okay? When you are investing into a portfolio and you make like 8% on average, 2-3% goes towards inflation, taxes like 2%. Well, in this case, not taxes because it's a Roth 401k, but the rest of it, because it's taken out, for example, on these fees, it's going to cost like almost like a third of your portfolio. Make sense?
Yeah, I had difficulty, because I'm already investing in a brokerage on the side to just only put the match and then just put all of it in a brokerage.
The big caveat is that that's what I was saying, man. You want to have a conversation with them and see what they can actually offer you,
Yeah.
right? If they're able to kind of say like, hey, is it possible to add this fund or do this or
I've
do
had I've
whatever?
had a couple conversations. The problem is we're only like a 5 people company, so it's
So it
not.
should be more flexible then.
You think it should be more
Because
flexible?
yeah, because I mean they don't have any like any reason to just go with, for example, with this whole fund. I mean, who's your,
Okay.
don't tell me your employer. That's you don't want to say that live. But my point
No.
is, you seem like a math person. You make a good amount of money. Bring this
Yeah.
information to your boss. Hey, this is gonna cost us X amount of money, and I found a fund that's actually gonna benefit us more, and it's also gonna save the company a lot more money and the employees more money. I'm pretty sure everyone wants to save more money for their retirement, right?
Okay.
So that's the but don't just come to your boss empty-handed complaining about something. Do the research. Go on Vanguard, say like, and then ask Vanguard like, hey, how much is? By the way, I have a self-directed 401k with Vanguard, and they don't really charge you anything like that. So, and
Okay.
it's a lot cheaper. And if the employer gives you a match, the benefit is that. By the way, do they give you a match?
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. It's 6%.
Yeah, so that means they invest that into your 401k, and then you invest the rest into your Roth 401k, right? So you
Correct.
Yeah, so just talk to them and be like, hey, I found this alternative. And you talk to if it's 5 people, so it shouldn't take that much convincing to tell somebody, hey, if you switch here, you'll save a third, right, over the long term. And it's just 5 people you have to convince. So you talk to your boss about this, you bring it up, and you see what they can possibly do. But don't bring more problems to him, bring solutions to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Yeah, because I was having difficulty not put money in my 401k just
Yeah,
because of the fees.
because one thing you can do is unless they're like some employers let you roll over the funds from the 401k into a traditional IRA without having to quit. Some do, but
Yeah.
most don't. So if they're able to do that, what I would what I what I would possibly do is every single year, every single month, just roll over that money over to my traditional IRA, and from there just roll that over into my Roth IRA and pay the difference in the gains in that tax. And that way,
And
like,
then
I'm constantly doing that.
I had a question. You obviously
Okay.
lived in a high state tax place as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better to invest in a pre-tax 401k and just
No,
put the
that's
difference
not
in
the.
a brokerage?
Don't worry about yourself now. Worry about yourself tomorrow. How old are you?
Yeah, but huh?
How old are you?
33.
33 years old. So here's the thing, right? How much money do you have in total invested?
About 230,000.
Okay. So let's just pretend.
70,000
Okay.
70,000 in 401k and 130 in a brokerage, and a little bit like 12,000 in
Uh,
Roth.
130 in a brokerage. Okay. All right. So here's the thing, right? If you in the next 20 years, if you have $1 million in the Roth 401k that you just roll over into your Roth, all that money is yours. If you have $1 million, for example, in the 401k, guess what? You're gonna lose almost a third of that income. A third of probably like 30% of it is gonna go straight to taxes. But when you get older, that's when you're gonna need the tax benefits, right? That's when you're actually gonna need
No,
the money.
no, but I was talking about putting the difference into a brokerage. Like
Oh, the
if
difference?
Yeah, like if I'm putting 812, because I put 812 a paycheck into my Roth 401k. But
Mm-hmm.
if I put 812 in a pre-tax 401k, I get an extra like 200 and change in my paycheck that I could just dump into a brokerage.
No. The game I
No.
play is I do if they have an option for the Roth IRA, I focus on that because the big deal is
Okay.
that the 401k has restrictions. So by age 70 you have mandatory withdrawals, while with the Roth you don't
Yeah.
have. And with your income, most likely if you keep being, for example, like this high quality employee, you probably won't even need the retirement money because if you set up everything
Yeah.
correctly, you won't need it. So let me ask some other questions, okay? Do you have any debt?
Zero. But
Yo,
but I
you are
but I don't own a house, and I'm okay with renting.
you have an emergency fund?
Yeah, I do.
6 months?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So here's the thing about renting versus buying, right? The math is not, for example, just saying like, well, buying is always better. Depending on where you live and the prices of homes, you have to use a rent versus buy calculator. It's common sense to know that for a fact, right? That eventually renting will become more expensive than buying, right?
Yes.
So you want to use a rent versus buy calculator and start saving up the money. So what I currently do is, right, even myself, I used to invest heavily, like almost like $250,000 every single year. That's what I
Okay.
was doing. That's stupid because I'm heavily leveraging the stock market. If that crashes, it's done for me. So what I started doing is basically I limited myself to only like 10 to 20% of my income I invest in the stock market. So currently I'm only doing 20%. The
Okay.
rest of my
But
money, because I'm debt free and I have an
yeah.
emergency fund, I put that money, for example, in my savings to buy my property next year, or just have the money there in your case so when the time actually does come. Now, why don't you want to have your own property? Or why do you feel comfortable just renting?
Well, I just see it as if the stock market grows to a certain point, I could just grab that money and buy a house cash at any time.
Okay.
And
What
I
happened?
would
What
think
happened
you'd be
in
in
1929?
well, generally though, when the market crashes, doesn't real estate go with it? I mean, for real
No,
estate to go to all time
no.
high and stocks
That's why.
crash.
That's why we have a portfolio, because usually, REITs, right? Real estate investment trusts. The
Yeah,
reason
I
you
used to be in them, but they're not tax friendly at all, so I stopped
Yeah,
it in the brokerage.
but the reason why we put money in there is because it's kind of very different from the stock market. So if the stock market crashes, that gives you, for example, a little hiccup, right? So it won't crash
Okay.
automatically either, because real estate and stocks, they're not really that simultaneously following each other. So 1929, we had a crash that lasted like around 25 years to actually have a recovery. If I had that same mindset, the idea is, if we do experience a crash and it takes a very long time to recover, if you do end up selling to buy that home, the big problem is, for example, you're probably going to sell at a massive loss. And if you do end up selling, for example, your investments that are, for example, going to be most likely going to be from your brokerage account, your taxable account, that's going to be a
Yeah.
bunch of a bunch of tax gains, right? A bunch of capital gains. So that's also a problem. So what I would recommend is, right, what I do is I invested 20% into my retirement account. It sounds crazy because I hear you and I see myself, because you're thinking about, I want to maximize everything. There's different ways to go about it to make sure that you're
Yeah,
safe and everything's fine.
yeah. I was just thinking that once it gets big enough, I'll just be
hmm
able to, if I want to buy a house, I can grab it, and if I don't, I don't have to.
Yeah. So look, you're 33 years old now. What's the average home price in your area right now?
Oh, dude, in Southern California, it's like probably like 600,000-700,000 for just
Okay.
a 1,600 square foot house.
And your job, are you doing it from home right now?
No, we're working in the office, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So look.
No, because that was if we got to work from home, I was moving to Texas
Yeah,
immediately.
oh my gosh. I agree.
I,
But
but
also,
but
right? Look, you gotta have an exit strategy. I like you a lot, man. So shout out to you. But Brett, you have to have an exit strategy, right? Because this job is awesome, but doesn't mean you have to work it for the rest of your life. It doesn't mean you have to stay there.
yeah,
Potentially, you could just switch over to another state and just get to your goal a lot faster. So that means, for example, if I'm you, I'm 33 years old, I make $100,000 a year, I'm maxing out my retirement accounts, and I'm also investing money into my brokerage accounts. I want to invest. I have no debt. I have an emergency fund. I have no home. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna only invest 20%. The rest of my
okay,
money, I'm gonna start putting aside in cash. And consider, for example, because right now, remember, right? Right now, you already have like 230 in your investments. So if you
yeah,
consider, for example, let's say a year from now, 2 years from now, you leave that job, you probably have like $300,000 in there. And if you roll that
okay,
over, for example, into the Roth, well, first of all, traditional, then the Roth, that's $300,000 in there. And after 5 years, if you follow, for example, the 4% withdrawal rule, that's around $12,000 in income every single year, right?
correct.
So that's $1,000. Now, by that point, since you've been saving like almost like probably like 30-50% of your income, because you probably don't spend that much money, you sound like a very frugal guy, you're able to grab that money, potentially buy a property outright, and then you're basically done with the mortgage. So now you're able to take either a job that pays you the same amount of money or less money, but the passive income plus whatever job you basically get, it'll make you enough money to cover all your bases, because your mortgage costs or your rent costs, shelter costs, will be zero, except for the maintenance and the insurance, obviously. Make sense?
Yeah, I had another question because I was gonna buy a house this year, but I backed off. How do you mentally part ways with a lot of money that you invested to put it into real estate?
You're not parting ways. The money's still there.
Um,
So here's the big thing,
it
right?
just it felt like it was going away.
The big problem is, right, with real estate right now, like is kind of crazy. But over the long term, just like with the stock market, we know that usually real estate just appreciates in value, right, over the
Correct.
long term. But if you buy right now, here is a rule I follow to keep my budget sane. So for example, if I'm making $100,000 a year, is that after taxes, by the way, or before taxes?
That's before taxes.
Before taxes. So let's say, for example, you get to keep 80% of that. Let's say you make around eighty
Mhm.
thousand dollars, right? And by the way, congratulations. The average millionaire, and often does not make more than 100K per year. And you seem to have like a millionaire
Yeah.
mindset, so you're able to get there a lot faster. But divided by 12, That's around $6,666. Now, what I follow when I'm going to buy a property is I follow the 33% rule on a 15-year mortgage. Why? Because the goal is to pay it off. I'm not worried about getting interest benefits on my taxes or none of that stuff. I'm trying to pay this thing off so I can basically get financial freedom as fast as possible. Now, if I make $6,000 a month, multiplied by 33%, that means my budget is $2,200 on a $1,500 mortgage, on a $1,500 15-year mortgage. Well, that includes, for example, the maintenance, the taxes, the insurance, HOA fee, and also everything else included with this property. So, if I go on Google right now, just so I can help give you the full picture here, go on Google and you type in mortgage calculator. It's the one by Bankrate. I'm gonna cut over to the live to show everybody here. So this right here is the calculator, and I say, yo, I'm trying to get a 15-year mortgage, and my budget, for example, I'm gonna put down 20%, and my budget is $2,200. That gives me like a property that's worth around $347,000, meaning that right now you can't afford a home in California if they're going for like that much money.
I could afford a $400,000 condo if I put $100,000 down. Is that not a good decision though?
When I think about personally, right, if you want a condo, that's fine. But when I think about buying a property, I don't think about buying a condo and then having somebody else.
I don't either. But I also don't know about.
But you also don't know where you're gonna be 7 years from now, right? If 7 years from now, you can still have that money there. You could be living in Florida or, for example, wherever it is. That's why I say, right, let's just go, because I want to help you out the most, right? So you go on Google also, you type in rent versus buy calculator, right? I think Net Wallet, what is it called? Nerd Wallet has one. If the average home value in, let's just say, California is, that's not there, that sucks. Let's just say Bronx. Give me a second here, right? We build this while we fly, so everything is live.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say,
I totally understand.
Let's say, for example, it is $400,000, and you put down $100,000, which is crazy. And you get a 15-year mortgage also. And what's your rent right now?
Right now, I pay $1,300. Very reasonable, and I'm just lucky that I've been renting for a while because the market rent in where I live is like $2,100.
Yeah. So look, right, where it's at, what it says is basically with this calculator, if you're putting down that much money, renting is cheaper than buying in the next 3 years. Basically, for the next 3 years, you're covered. But if you're just gonna put down, for example, like a 20%, like a normal person, the number becomes now. Let me see here. Let me see. Okay, break even is right here. So if you stay in your home for 22 years, buying is cheaper than renting. For 22 years, bro. Right? So I'm not, if you stay in your home for 21 years, rent, yes. Look, for 21 years, if you literally stay at that price, renting is cheaper than actually buying a property for that price.
Yeah, but this is a unique situation where I don't expect, with all the rent going up, I don't expect the landlord to keep doing the same rent. I've been renting like this for 5 years.
So let's say he raises it up to $2,200, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the market rent. Like the unit next door rented me for that price, and I'm paying $13.
You have a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom?
I have a 2-bedroom, but the only thing I do, and I don't know if it's risky on my part. Yeah. Is it risky to pay for a prepay for a rent for a year up front?
It's not risky. I have that problem too, where sometimes I just want to get rid of things like that. But
yeah, I just feel like I have a little bit more leverage when I do that.
What, he negotiates it? He negotiates with you?
Yeah, well, I just pay him once every year for rent because I just want to get it done, and I feel like I get the best price that way.
How much cash do you have on hand right now?
About $40,000.
Yeah, so I mean, potentially, if that's giving you leverage, you could say like, "Yo, let me pay you for next year's rent or whatever." Right?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I do that.
Yeah, and that gives you more leverage to kind of like hold off. But my idea is, if I'm you, man, I'm saying if I'm you, if I'm in your shoes, I'm not buying no condo for $400,000.
Okay.
I'm thinking about, for example, if I'm at this job making this much money, again, if you're just investing 20%, which is $80,000 multiplied by 20%, that's only $16,000. Which basically means you should have an extra now of around 21,500 plus whatever savings you're actually doing, plus your $40,000, which basically means at the end of every single year, let's say you save like $40,000 plus your $40,000. In the next like 5 years, this year you'll have $80,000. Next 5 years you'll have multiplied by 5. You have like $200,000 plus 80. You have 280. And if you say, yo, I want to quit this job or I want to go somewhere else and get another job, you have
Yeah.
280 to just go buy a property in cash, like a real property. You know, like it's like a single family home where it's not like somebody's on top of you, below you, and this and that. Because
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Most people buy a property, stay there for 5 years, which is fine, by the way. But when I'm buying my first property and I plan on staying there for like the next 5-10 years, me personally, I just don't see myself in a condo. If you see yourself in a condo,
no, I can't. The only reason I would consider it is just to keep my mortgage low and not wanting to commit to a $750,000 house.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
if you commit to this $400,000 condo, and let's say we have like a little crash or whatever, it's a lot of money for a condo, man. Probably like a 3-bedroom too, like some trash stuff in California.
No, it's a 2-bedroom, like 1,100 square feet. This is Southern California, man.
Oh my gosh! Shout out to
with
America,
that pretty
man.
high HOA, but I mean, it's just the market over here. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but again, look, you have a good problem. So this means here's a solution that I've came up. If I were you in your situation, I'm gonna continue everything I'm doing, except I'm gonna go ahead and reduce my investments. I'm gonna put the excess of money that I currently have in a separate account and call it, for example, home savings. Once you have, for example, a certain amount of money in there, again, you're still investing more than the average person. So in the next 5 years or 4 years or 3 years, you'll have a good amount of money. And in the next few months, right, we have an excessive amount of labor available and not enough people to actually go ahead and take the labor. So if you can find another job, if it's in Texas or Florida, with this amount of money, you're able to go ahead and buy a property. Boom, you're done paying it off in like 5 years or whatever. Okay, no mortgage, utilities. I have my groceries. I have my car is fully paid off or whatever. You can just live the life you want to live. And I also have $12,000 coming in passive income every single year, and you get to keep that, building it up and building it up and building it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. No, I knew that I had to slow my investing down. I just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it either when I first saw the math, but because I thought the same thing. Well, I can just grab this money and basically just go ahead and buy this property when I'm ready. Well, what if it crashes, or what if I have like this massive gain and then I gotta sell?
I was looking at like 2008, 9 when the market crashed. The real estate was like $30,000.
No, you have to remember, right? The reason we had the 2008 crash was because it was involved with real estate too. Right?
Okay.
It was more like the real estate market ended up crashing like the stock market at the same time. If you look back to 1929, like the whole the whole tech bubble or the tech crash, whatever you want to call it, is completely different. Yeah. Usually real estate and the stock market are very different. That's why you have such different investors, right?
Yeah, correct.
That's what I would do, brother. You're in a good spot, so be patient. And one thing I'll tell you, okay? When you do have all this money, you sound just like me. You'll start to get impatient and be like, I need to use this money ASAP. No, you have a purpose for this money, so just wait until the time is right, and then you buy what you need to buy with it. Make sense?
Yeah, that was part of the problem. I was saving up a lot of money, and I didn't want to. I just threw it all in the S&P 500. I was like, you know what, this is a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. Just be patient. Just be patient. Put that money on the side, save it up. In 3 years, whether you're in Texas or Florida or Las Vegas, whatever it is, you're able to buy a property for cash. And since you're 33 years old, you have a lot of experience in all this stuff, you're just able to just get a job. Whether you get like a pay cut, doesn't matter because your bills are so low by that point. Does that make sense?
That is correct, yeah.
And remember,
all right,
right?
Thanks for everything you do, man. I really appreciate your talent.
Before I leave you, Brett, remember, right? Life is health, wealth, love, and happiness. You got the wealth part down. Don't forget about the health part, the love part, and the happiness part, okay?
All right, man. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Welcome to the Long Term Team. Peace out. Nice to hear from you, brother.
All right, man. Bye.
All right. Bye.